Hi everybody, I'm Konstantin and today I'm gonna talk to you about how to achieve some hard parts of Nuxt. So I'm a front-end developer. I will be at Passionate People in November. In the meantime, I'm a Nuxt.js ambassador and I'm helping daily on Stackoverflow. So a quick view of this is basically I started helping people at the beginning of the year. I wanted to commit more about open source. And so I'm here daily. So if you posted any question this year, I probably viewed it, edited it, or answered it. Yeah, I'm trying to do my best there and to be as useful to the community as I can. So I'm part of the most active users there. So I also help writing documentation. I do a bit of mentoring. Before COVID, I also speak at public places, but it was before. And I'm into gaming. I love make keyboards, tech, and all the nerdy stuff related. So this talk is done with SlideUp. If you don't know it, it's really amazing. It's a tool created by Anthony, which enables you to have like just code for your slides, and you can even like take and draw some stuff on it. So yeah, really amazing. Try it and yeah. So let's start by talking about the rendering modes of Nuxt. As of right now, we do have SPA only, so it's essentially client-side rendering. We have universal SSR for server-side rendering, SSG for server-side generating, so this is basically static or pre-rendered. With Nuxt 3, we will get Nuxt Nitro, so it will be amazing for serverless. On the side note, as of right now, Mod Universal and SPA are deprecated, so we'll see which one to use. And also a universal app, we will see it later, but is also called isomorphic. So all those terms are the same if you see them. So let's start by the SPA mode. This one, you enable it with SSR false and target static. Target static basically means, okay, man, just send it to a CDN and don't bother. It doesn't mean that it's purely static because you will still get a view there. And you also can put a target server, but don't do this because you don't need to pay a server for an SPA. To achieve this for production, you need to use yarn generate. And what will happen is that your browser will request a CDN with static files. You will get HTML and JS. And then after some parsing and execution, you will get your SPA. Okay, so the pros of this one is it's super easy to deploy because it's static, but you don't get any SEO. You need to wait the loader because when the page is parsing and executed, it takes time, and so your user just needs to wait for it to be done. It's also not the most, let's say, next way because you don't get any SSR benefits. So yeah. Now let's talk about SSR. For this one, you need to use SSR true and target server. So those two are the default values, actually. You do use yarn build for production, and how it works is that you will get your border, which will request your next server. Then it will request the REST API. The API will respond with JSON, and you will get the HTML back. It will be sent to your browser, and the browser will make hydration. So this is kind of complex to understand at first when I do explain hydration to people. But it's basically saying, all right, so you do have some pages generated on the server. So let's say a button. So you can get the shape and the color, but it will not be reactive. So you will not have any view on it. So you could click on it and nothing will happen. If it does, it's because you are in the hydration. Hopefully Nuxt does it for you. It's out of the box and it's pretty fast. So yeah, when the hydration is done, you do have your hydrated SPA. totally working. So the pros of this one is, of course, the SEO, because all your pages will be done on the server. You will have faster initial load time, and also super fresh data, because each time you refresh or reach a URL, you will get the brand new content there. It's also really good for highly dynamic content. It's also dynamic, meaning that you can have a lot of caching and so on. The main drawback is that you have to pay for a server. So yeah, it's not free, and it can crash and also have server-side provisioning. Josh made an article about this, so give it a read. It's a bit cryptic, but yeah, interesting. We also have the SSG, so pretty much static. For this one, you need to set SR true and target static. You do use yarn generate for production. And this one works kind of like the SPA, meaning that you have your border. It will request the CDN for static files, and you'll get HTML and JS out of it. You will get the same, so hydration phase, and then you will get your SPA. So, of course, the SEO is perfect for this one. You'll get a quick load time thanks to the CDN, so Netlify, Vercel, or GitHub Pages, there are a lot of them. It's usually free, maybe, or at least cheaper than a real server. There are some cons, of course. So the build time can take some time, especially if you have a lot of content. And it's kind of more complex to set up. But at the end, SSG is really nice, and you don't only need to have your local data. You can also reach an API during the build phase. So for example, here we do have a JSON placeholder where we will get all the users, and we will generate all the routes from it at build time. So it will not be available later on, but if it's something not really moving, it's perfect. And we don't need to reach a server because it will be already pre-rendered on the CDN. So you can ask me which one to choose, because there are like 3 kind of renderings. So let's say SP only is really good for apps, purely apps. So if we go to Nuxt.js, so I don't know if you've seen the new website, but it got a refresh and pretty nice. There you can check showcases, and here are some apps made in Nuxt present. You can also go to Vue Telescope. And so Vue Telescope is a project done by the Nuxt Labs. Nuxt Labs do have Vue Telescope, Nuxt, and Docus. Docus is mainly documentation aimed tool coming soon. But Vue Telescope is really handy. It can help you spot some cool websites. So let's say if you got some filtering, and let's say we want to find a random app. So this is totally random, of course. We can click, for example, on this one, and we will see the version used by Vue and that it's using client side. If we go there, so this is a website. I really don't know the guy also, but it's just an app where you can dump your file and get a split between your voice and the music. And if we disable JS on this one, we will see. So for this, you go to your DevTools, you go to the cog, and then you reach disable JS, you refresh. And here you will see that the page is not anymore like reactive, like you can click on button, but it doesn't do anything. It's just like static assets. And this means basically that, yeah, if the SPA is not here, it will not do anything at all. If you check the source page, the source code, there is nothing there. So yeah, you can't have you can't have a website, an SPA app, if it's without JS. Another example would be Gmail. So if you go on Gmail and you don't have JavaScript enabled, it can't do anything else neither. So this is a way to debug an SPA. For this, I do also recommend going to quick JavaScript. So this is a handy extension that you can install. There is probably something similar on Firefox. And then you will get your switcher here, and then you can either enable or disable JS on Gmail just by a click of a button. So pretty handy. Also, by the way, didn't told it, but on Vue Telescope, you can either go there and just put a website here. So if we take Nuxt.js, we will look up and we will see that it's static using Tailwind and all kind of plugins and modules. But you can also do the same thing with their extension here, which is giving you pretty much the same. So those are the tools that you can use to either diagnose or find what is happening or what kind of rendering is used on an app. So let's continue to the next one. So SSR is really good if you want to either protect some content. So if you, I don't know, if you create like courses like Westboss or I don't know, and you want to hide your videos, or if you have some really fast-paced platform like Amazon with a lot of products. And finally, of course, SSG is kind of the best of both worlds because it's cheap, and if the content is not moving too often, you can sell it for a blog, landing page, or a lot of stuff. Essentially, when we will get some advanced rendering on this one with incremental generation and so on. So yeah, feel free to visit the showcases of Nuxt to see more about it. Now, how to debug those in more generic way if you have access to the code. So if it's a target static app, you can run yarn generate and yarn start and see if it works locally. You can, of course, double check on Nuxt.js if it's fine. And a really amazing thing is that you can have access to Netlify drop. So if you don't know this one, Netlify drop is a place where you can get your some statically generated folder. So let's say here I have my Nuxt Nation talk as a project. So I do have an SPA in this, so I can just grab the this folder and drop it there. And we can see that the website is already live. So you can go there and you can check my face spin again and all my talks there. So this is also a good way to debug a static app, because usually people come to you and they have issues like, I'm not sure what is working, but I do have a really hardcore Nginx with Docker and Kubernetes and also a bit of network issues. Can you help me? So in those situations, the easiest is still to double check, at least on Netlify, if it's working and if it's related anyhow to Vue or if it's something else. So for server configs, you need to run build and start pretty much the same way. Heroku is a good place to debug those things because it does have a free tier, and a server is always a bit harder to debug, but yeah, it's easy enough. Render.com is a good alternative also because you can have cheaper prices there for production. And if you have a need for some config or some platform that is not listed here, you can go to our integration pages and check a lot of various places. So I don't know, like DigitalOcean, and how to set up it for this specific platform. Now let's talk about DevTools. I do recommend installing both DevTools, the stable and beta, meaning that if you do this, you will have, so it's those two. This is for Vue 3, this is for Vue 2, meaning that when you will use Nuxt 3, you will get like both of them if needed. So a good starting point. And let's see how to debug an app that I created for somebody. So for this one, I have a running app on this port. Maybe not. Let me double check. Yep. So this is an app that I helped a guy a few days ago on Stackoverflow. And I want to show you some cool tricks that we can use to debug. Some of them are mainly selecting Vue instances using a live expression, inspecting the component in depth, checking the network also. But this is a more well-known one. And the routing also is pretty useful. So I'm not sure if you know, but here, when we select something, we can, if we select, let's say, this block, here you do have $0. So if you do this, you can have access to the actual box, as you can see. And if we do have text content, we have access to the actual content here. But the great thing is that, by the way, if you have your DevTools, here you can press Escape to have also the console. And the great thing is that when you're here, you can do the same thing with Vue. So let's say that we have an infinite loader in this app that we want to track and to see how it's working. So for this one, we will do $VM0, as you can see here. With this, let's say we can check like its first load, and we will get the same thing as in the DevTools. The great thing with that is that you can click on the eye and have it there. And as you can see here, we do have true, since we didn't have any lazy loading, infinite loading. And when we will scroll, this value will update itself. As you can see, boom, it went to false. And here also, this is kind of useful because you can get more info about it without console logging all the way down. And the next thing is also that you can actually hack it pretty nicely, meaning that not everything is in the documentation. Sometimes people just don't have time to write it, or or I mean, there are reasons for this. And so let's say that we go to the documentation, because it's a use case that I had and that the guy on Stackoverflow couldn't debug because it's not written in the documentation. So here is the documentation of the thing, and he was basically trying to get an event popping to the parent to then trigger the actual fetching from the infinite load. And this wasn't written in the documentation. So a really good start for this one is inspecting the object that you have here, because there are a lot of things that are not documented here. Let's say you do have a state changer. That's how we found out that if we use a state changer and that we then set a method on it, you can really get something. I mean, yeah, you can really debug it this way because it's really verbose and you can see the whole object there. So yeah, this is one of a sneaky way that I do use kind of often and which is not really documented. So I wanted to present it. Of course, you do have your super useful event place where you can scroll and get a lot of info. You also have your routes, and maybe not a lot of people know, but there are a lot of questions usually on router, and people get lost about, all right, how can I do this or that, or even what are my route names, and the DevTools gives you all the routes available here, so check this one out. Yep, that's pretty much on this one. Also, use ESLint, please, prettier, because it will help you fix a lot of common issues. I mean, Prettier is really awesome because it can help you read code better, but ESLint is sometimes just giving you tips on maybe missing key prop or you not having a tag closed and so on. You can also check the Vue style guide if you didn't yet. This is more for Vue, but it's still relevant for Nuxt, and it's really interesting. And if you want a quick guide on how to set up ESLint with Prettier, I do have it there. So yeah, if you want a quick start for this one. So now, how to get some help? Because I'm on Stackoverflow for, let's say, 10 months right now, and I saw a lot of people there. So on the left side is kind of the guy that you don't want to be. You're the regular, yo, bro, I have no time, please debug this, thanks, see ya. Without any context and some ugly code from nowhere and which you can't even copy paste. And yes, so please don't be this guy and try to at least make some effort to show that you looked a bit on the GitHub issues or discussions or releases. I'm saying that because a lot of people usually are really upset, like Thierry Henry, you know, when you came there and like, fix my bug. Yeah, but what's the code, man, you know? And for this one, yeah, you can start by going to the GitHub issues and see if somebody else got this one. Let's say that the releases is also a really nice place. So next, have this changelog, for example, saying that, yeah, you will have all those benefits if you upgrade to a specific version. So this is really useful. And usually a lot of issues on people on Stack Overflow are coming from the fact that they are using the latest bleeding edge packages. So like SAS 11 and so on, which are based on Webpack 5. So a good starting point is checking the GitHub issues, the discussions if there are, and the releases also. By the way, since we're here, where can you ask questions if you do have any issue on Nuxt? So of course, I'd say that Stack Overflow is a great place for this. So you can ask a question. You can basically set some tags. So mainly Nuxt.js is fine, and you will have a direct line to me checking your code. And then if you have like some snippets of code, you can paste them. Just try to pay attention and to set some triple backticks. And also, like if you have a whole dump of code, you basically have 3 backticks, HTML, you put your code, and boom, you do have perfectly aligned code with your ESLint Prettier, and you will have highlighted content. So of course, don't forget to add some context or your Nuxt.js file. But yeah, a lot of people will actually answer you quickly, and you will have less go and forth with them. So yeah, this is the first way. Then you can go to Nuxt.js discussions. So if you're used to Tailwind, this is pretty much the same stuff. Here you can ask a question, and either Alexander or Daniel will be super quick to reply you because there are beasts there. Yeah, pretty much same place. You also do have a Discord at the bottom of the page with an active community and a lot of channels there. So come and say hi and ask your question in those, in related channels. Yeah. Also, yeah. So let's continue. Another cool thing is to create a sandbox if your example is a bit more complex and you can't just like dump 30 files of code. Yeah. So let's talk about some quick issues that I saw and that can be helpful. So for the most part, I created a link on Data Exchange. So this is a great place to check how to handle, I mean, what are the 100 most common questions viewed in the last, I mean, forever. And you can see that there are some interesting questions. Let's tackle some of them. So this is the first one. So why doesn't my code format it? So this is the one that I linked, basically saying that, yeah, you can have a totally working configuration without a lot of struggle. So try to use this. Then we have a lot of generic questions about Vue. So either Vuex or how to use a roller, but yeah. So we'll skip those. We have the really classic one of, man, my server is not working and I do have some strange error there saying that the DOM is mismatching what is generated on the server and on the client. So this one is pretty much hydration and what happens and why this is not working. So I do also have an answer here, but the best place for this is still like Alexander's post on this one, which explains in depth what's happening. Basically, it gives you a lot of tips that you can detect. So either, let's say your code is not HTML valid, so this is breaking, or you do have some highly dynamic content there. So let's say if you have a date on the server, that is just using new date. If you do have a hydration which is also calling date, the two dates will not be the same. Hence why you will have some issues. There are also some plugins that are used only on frontend and not on backend. So this can be a reason also. So give it a read. There's the typical how to use jQuery. If you still want to use jQuery in a Nuxt app, how to import plugin properly. So yesterday, Josh made a talk on how to do this. I'll just say how to not do this, because I saw a lot of people loading scripts from CDN. So don't use this. Don't also download your files and dump them in static, or don't just use 50 of them if you use it only in one place. And also, yeah, there's a deprecated mode of SSR Force, which is now mod client. So yeah, those are some mistakes that people usually do. But yeah, really go back to either this, so with some documentation, or Josh talk from yesterday, or even his blog where he explains really deeply how to use this properly. Also, on Stackoverflow, you do have another answer. So this is Josh, and this is a blog from Vue. Yep, this is a blog post from Vue School, which is also giving you how to use some third-party packages. So like I don't know, like Google Analytics and so on. And I'm running out of time. So let's say that I do have the link for the most common issues and most common questions. One of them is the difference between modules and plugins. Basically, modules is what you can use on from the Nuxt team, which are really baked for this. So on the homepage, you can go to modules and check. So let's say analytics. You can see Vue plausible here. And if you go there, this is a next module that you can really use in an easier way, just going to your next config and running, pasting the module here, and it will work out of the box. If you have plugins, this is more like third-party packages like npm and some homemade or some chats, as Josh demonstrated yesterday. The Nuxt lifecycle can be also great because it's not really easy to understand what is happening. I'm not sure that a lot of people read it once, but give it a read. And yeah, how to use env variables. I want to get some attention to OS, Nuxt OS, because there are a lot of questions on this, and this is really complex to handle all the cases, especially with Laravel and so on. And if you know how to help there, just contribute, please. We will be really grateful for you. And so yeah, we can do this for a long time, but let's say that we are done here, and that if you need some more info, you can reach on the places where I presented. So Stack Overflow, the Discord, or Nuxt discussions are great places for this. We will probably try to improve the whole thing and maybe have the platform where we can centralize all of those common questions and how to answer to them, because yeah, they are pretty much all over the place right now. If you need more info, you have my Twitter on the bottom right, so you can reach me if you need some mentoring. Otherwise, of course, you have Mastering Nuxt, which is off 35%, and Vue School, which is really awesome and can get you some great skills for this.